Hey everyone, welcome to Rugged Outdoors Guide. My name is Pete. I am your host today along with my beautiful wife, Deb. Guys, we are in the middle of a series, not in the middle, we're actually kind of on the front end of a series of videos that we call Save or Splurge. And the idea is, what items can you buy if you're looking to upgrade or grow your camping inventory? What items can you save money on and still be none the worse for? Or what items should you not save money on? And so we're going to take you through a bit of that. We got a whole series of different products, and today we're going to talk about. Are you holding it there? Okay,
I got it here. So, talking about very exciting. It's very, very exciting today. It's right here.
Super exciting. Super exciting. So what we're talking about is tent pegs.
Not
and
this.
Believe it or not, here, let me hold the mallet.
Okay, you hold that. I'll hold this.
So this is actually probably a tiny bit more important than you might think, and I'm not going to waste all your time talking about tent pegs. It's not that extensive, but a couple of things you should know. All right, so the first thing is that for a lot of tent pegs, it's helpful to have something like this, like a really hard rubber mallet. The only problem is if you're going in the backcountry, you don't want to waste space and weight carrying one of these. So this is more like a car camping thing. Otherwise, you can use your foot or a rock.
Or a piece of a log or
exactly.
Whatever. Yeah.
So I'm gonna put this where it belongs right now. So what we're gonna talk about now is different types of tent pegs. So you know what?
You want to see all of them right now?
Yeah. Well, here. You know what? Let me. Here. I'll grab these.
You're gonna take those ones first. Okay.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right. So what we're gonna start off talking about is probably the most common type of peg, which is this sort of a shepherd's hook style peg. Now this is probably the kind that comes with your tent. And honestly, guys, to be honest, I think it's probably...
It's satisfactory for 90% of the time. It's what you can use in most situations.
Guys, in most situations...
soil types.
You will probably get on your cheapest tents, you'll get steel pegs like this. They're heavy and they're not glamorous and they're very thin. So what you need to know, there's a couple of things you need to know. The bigger around your peg is, or the more of a shape it has, like if it's a big sort of an L shape, you know, like an angle iron or something, the bigger it is, the more ground, like surface resistance there is, which means it won't be able to be pulled out as easily, all right? Well, it means you won't be able to put it in as easily, probably at the same time. But anyway, so these, the ones that come with your tent, the cheapest ones will be the really super thin steel ones. And they're okay for most conditions, but mostly for like a soft grassy conditions, like in your backyard.
That's a provincial park or a national park, whatever.
And it depends what the ground is, right? Because provincial parks and national parks can have different.
They can, but for the most part, if it's a regular camping site that you're going to, that's already been groomed, that other people have camped at before, they're probably going to have good conditions. Right,
and so that would be most of your conditions would be these cheap steel ones are fine. However, if it's hard soil or if it's just gravelly or whatever, you're gonna have a problem because they'll slip out or they'll just pull right out. Even if you put them in on an angle, which can help, you won't be able to get these through gravelly soil. You can even smash on them with a mallet and they'll bend. All right, so we don't want those for those conditions. So what I have here now is, again, a couple more shepherd's staff style, but these are a little bit thicker and they're aluminum. And this one's, actually, they're quite a bit thicker and they're stronger and they're more stiff. And so they are a little bit better, a little more durable, maybe a little bit harder soil, and they're actually harder to pull out as well. So that's kind of a step up. If you get a higher end tent, that's kind of what you're going to end up with.
Yeah. This one's pretty cool though, eh? With the twist on it there. I would think that would hold even better.
So this one that I have here is a slightly bigger one, and not only is it bigger, but it's square. Now, square will help prevent this peg from turning in the soil. Now, the very first ones I told you about have a tendency to turn.
Yes.
Right? Because there's nothing to stop them from turning. They're thin and they're perfectly round. There's no friction. They just twirl around, and you can actually lose your spring. So this one is square, number one, and so the squareness of it keeps it from turning. But what's even more important is that it's twisted. It's like a wood nail, right? That kind of, it's got that spiral. So when this goes in the ground, it's probably not coming up, especially given the length of this. This is like 10 inches long as opposed to 5 or 6 inches. So this is going to stay in the ground. This is good for windy conditions, and but I would say kind of softer soil conditions. Now there are other pegs that I don't have with me because I don't use them, and I'm not rich enough to buy every kind of peg that's out there just so that I can show you in this video. So there are pegs like, for example, hard soil pegs, and they're really just like nails, and you just whack them in. You're going to need something to smack them in the ground for sure.
Surface.
I don't suggest those for most purposes, but you know, if you got them, you can use them for just about anything. These guys, everybody knows what these are, right? You've seen these 1,000 times probably. Mm-hmm. These are your typical plastic, kind of cheaper pegs. Surprisingly, they do a decent job. Mm-hmm. The problem is, in rocky scenarios, you won't be able to find your way through the rocks very easily. You'd be better off with the cheap, thin, metal shepherd's hook ones. The reason these are decent is in somewhat soft soil, or even really soft soil, they have a larger surface area. Mm-hmm. So once they're in, guess what you can't do?
Yeah, you can't pull them out. Yeah.
So speaking of not being able to pull them out, I also don't have a peg puller. Now, I don't know if you guys are into skating, if you play hockey or anything, but a peg puller is exactly the same thing as a hockey skate tightener, right? It's that little handle with a metal hook. It looks like the top of a tent peg, actually. And you rip it out. I don't have one with me right now, but you know, whatever. You don't need to. You kind of know what I'm talking about. That is helpful to pull these out. These plastic ones have so much surface area that if you can get them in, they will often be hard to pull out. So, but anyways, they do definitely have a place in the world of tent pegs. I would say the lower end tents come with these. The higher end would be the aluminum, slightly larger ones, or even the twisted aluminum ones.
Mm-hmm. Now we come to this.
Oh yeah. Well, there are other tent pegs that are screw-in style. Okay. Mm-hmm. Now this is not a great example, but there are ones that screw in. I don't know, guys. That's pretty hardcore. And you need a ground that will accept a screw. Right. Without that, this isn't going in. You know, in rocky soil, forget it.
Okay, so what is the final analysis on this? Is this a save or is this a splurge type of item? I don't know. I'm kind of on the save side on this. Maybe I would upgrade to I like the aluminum one with the square aluminum one that had the twist on it. I think that would be, maybe something that I would upgrade to. But I don't know that I'd spend a whole lot of money unless I'm going to be going into a really, high windy, crazy kind of, not necessarily crazy, but maybe rocky or, somewhere that I'm not really familiar with the conditions, I would say.
Yeah, so overall, I'm going to say that whether this is another one of these scenarios where if you spend as much money as you can or you save as much money as you can, either way, it's not going to affect your personal finances, I'm sure of it, because even a new set of those really cool twisted ones that we just bought yesterday was like $8 Canadian, which is about $5 or $6 US, and that's good for pretty much the whole tent. So,
and the rest of your life. I mean, for your entire camping life, you'll have those.
So basically, the bottom line is, I think we're in agreement on this one. If you're going on extreme conditions and you're going to be in rocky conditions in the Nahanni wilderness, in northern Canada or something like that, okay, fine. I would get something pretty decent. I would get a thicker aluminum style of some sort. There are still so many we didn't talk about. There's ones that have like a ripple on them. There's ones that have holes in them, like flat steel or angle iron steel. Like this is the profile, like this. All right. So there are a lot of different styles. There's a lot that could be said about each of those. This is not a video to talk about the details of each peg. It's whether or not you should spend or save. And I'm of a fairly strong opinion that your pegs that come with your tent, you can use them probably 95 or more % of the time.
Yeah.
So don't waste your money on getting new ones unless you really want to. I mean, they're not that expensive. So either way, it's not going to be horrible. But yeah, I've upgraded just a little bit because I've been doing this for so long. So I've got some, you know, nicer-ish ones, thicker aluminum, but you don't really have to. So guys, really, it's up to you. This is a toss
I'm also
out there.
kind of thinking that if you have all your stuff in your tent, it's probably not going to be blowing away, right? Like if you've got all your stuff in there, unless it's like a massive windstorm, right?
Yeah. So I would say if you're in really windy conditions and you know it, then yeah, you're going to want to probably get something with a little bit better of an anchoring ability, and then you're good to go. Otherwise, use what's in your tent, and I think you'll be fine. Or in the pack, you know, in your package that comes with it. Otherwise, yeah, you might be chasing your tent down the field if it's really windy and you've got really lousy, tiny 2-inch pegs or whatever.
Yeah.
They don't exist.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you for watching. I do hope that you'll join us next time for our next episode of Splurge or Save. If you've appreciated anything kind of sort of like this and you want to check out our next video in the whole series coming up, please do give me a like and a subscribe. Give me a comment on what we just talked about. Are we way off? Are we missing something? Would you do something differently? What's your opinion? Comment down below. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, because otherwise you're not going to know when we come out with these new videos. I do appreciate you taking the time to watch us, and I hope you will check us out next time. Yeah?
Yeah, I would say that's good. That's a wrap.
All right. Till the next time, guys, get out there, enjoy God's creation, and as you know I'm going to say, right? Keep on looking up.